What do you think of AI? I've heard you speak of AI in a manner where you firmly believe that large language models and building a model is going to be commoditized.
No, yeah, it's already commoditized.
Yeah, and nobody should spend energy on that. But you speak a lot for the Indian language and the nuance of it and building wrappers on top of these models to cater to that. Can you elaborate on that? What do you think?
Yeah. So there's a couple of two, three different points here. One is large language models, in my view, will become a commodity. They are already becoming a commodity. The drivers for the Western guys to spend billions of dollars is essentially because they're in a competitive land grab situation. So they all have to invest because not to invest is dangerous for them. So they collectively are investing $200 billion a year, buying all chips, putting data centers, all that. But they have to do it because if they don't do it, they'll fall behind. So they have a compulsion to do it. But the good news for us is all that is going to lower the cost and access to AI over time. It's already happening. And then open source AI is coming. People like Meta have just launched Llama 3 and they're going to give it away free. So I think this building a LLM is a mug's game for us. It's great for somebody there, but not for us. Our job is to leverage all this technology in a very low-cost way to deliver value to our people.
Can you give us a couple of use cases?
Yeah, so an Indian language is the use case which we have taken as one of the top priorities. Because India, there are 22 official languages. There are 300 or 400, many more thousands of languages, dialects, this, that. And if you really go back to population scale, as we talked about it, how does everybody interact with the computer? To use a keyboard, you need to know English. Even to use a touch screen, you can do visually, but you can't read. But if you can speak to the computer, and if you can speak in your language of choice, your mother tongue, then suddenly you can access the entire knowledge in the system. So it's a dramatic increase in access. So if a farmer in a village in, UP can speak in Hindi to the computer, and the computer can go and get some information on planting techniques to him and tell him in real time back. Suddenly we have made the world's knowledge accessible to that farmer in his or her language. So that's why AI is useful to bridge this gap of communication. So that's why language AI is important for India. I mean, AI is going to be like electricity is everywhere. So everything will have some AI component in. We are looking at how we can use this stuff to make people's lives better.
Right. Do you think voice will be big? I remember like when we were doing broking 10 years ago or 15 years ago, there were systems where you could say by voice, buy particular stock, X quantity, Y quantity, all of that. It never really took off. But do you think voice-controlled automation is a big use case in the near future?
Well, if you don't know how else to access, I mean, if you may have a choice by either saying buy X stock for Y rupees or by keying in buy X stock for Y rupees. So you have a choice. But the guy who can't read or write, the only way is by talking, no?
Right. So Nandan, growing up, whenever I thought of artificial intelligence, AI per se, maybe I was wrong in thinking of AI as AGI, but I thought it's when somebody else can think for me. Whichever model I've kind of used a little bit of, it doesn't feel like somebody is thinking for me. It feels like somebody is executing better what I'm thinking. Do you think it's right to call what we have today AI?
Whatever. Those guys got together some 60 years back and called it AI. We can debate whether the right name or wrong name. But I firmly believe what you said, which is this stuff is going to make our ability to do things better. Certainly not a replacement for what human beings can do.
And in terms of all this money being spent, like I track the American markets and I look at how much money these guys are spending on
200
hardware.
billion across.
But the revenue from AI is far lower than the capacity that people are building. And to a large extent, one can assume this capacity will it'll depreciate very quickly in value over the next 5 years. So do you think we are in bubble territory because the money going in is significantly higher than the revenue coming out?
No, at some point, if the returns don't happen and markets may choose to correct. I'm not a markets guy, so I don't know about that. You decide that. But you have to look at the incentives for these guys. They can't afford not to do it. So they would rather spend $50 billion a year, each of them, than not spend $50 billion. Maybe so save $50 billion. And they make a lot of profits. But if there's a big platform shift in 5 years and they don't have it, then they're out of the game permanently, right? So the cost of not doing it is higher than the cost of doing it. So you have to think like that.
You're making a lot of investments in AI companies, right? I once got Tanuj in your house and I asked him, tell me all that you guys are doing.
No, we do. Most of this is philanthropic. I mean, I fund AI for Bharat at IIT Madras. These are mostly philanthropic.
But are you seeing anyone in India do anything relevant? You can tell me India and outside of India, which are the companies which are doing the coolest things in AI, which have the biggest use case.
No, I think there are many. I mean, there's a company called Sarvam, which is doing AI stuff. Bhavish is doing with Krutim. I'm not really interested in the company so much. My interest is how do we use this stuff at population scale, low cost, to make a difference in education or health or farming or whatever.